Good morning. This is Monday Morning Motivation. Habakkuk is a short book consisting of 3 brief chapters. In the first 2 chapters, Habakkuk complains to God and boldly asks him some pertinent questions. He doesn't approach God with disrespect, but he asks some of the questions that we ourselves often wonder about. Why does evil seem to prosper? How long before you answer me, God? Don't you care that we seem to be perishing? When are you going to deliver us? Now, some people bury their questions, they squash their doubts and become bitter, refusing to lift up their anguished hearts to God and pour out their complaints, forgetting that the all-knowing God sees their hearts and knows their thoughts. Not so with this prophet. He sought the only source where he knew he could find the truth. And because he did so reverently, humbly, and transparently, God responded not once, but twice. And Habakkuk ends this book with a beautiful song of prayer, giving us grand imagery, and then with 3 powerful verses that have become the favorite of many who are faced with life's overwhelming circumstances. In Habakkuk chapter 3, verse 17 to 19, after looking at the devastation God showed him that was to come upon the southern kingdom of Judah because of their wickedness, despite constant warnings by prophets, Habakkuk concluded with this bold, powerful declaration. Even though the fig trees have no blossoms, and there are no grapes on the vines, even though the olive crop fails and the fields lie empty and barren, even though the flocks die in the fields and the barns are empty, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will be joyful in the God of my salvation. The sovereign Lord is my strength. He makes me as sure-footed as a deer, able to tread upon the heights. Now, what moved Habakkuk to this firm stance when he had first started out his discourse in despair and with difficult questions? The Lord faithfully responded, and even though what God showed the prophet included some gloom and doom, Habakkuk wasn't left hopeless. God showed him that though at times it doesn't appear that way, He is very much in control of this world and the circumstances of life for all those who will seek Him for truth and refuge. Because Habakkuk cried out to God during his struggles and laid his complaint before Him, the answer came to him with words of hope that strengthened him to allow him to move from despair to the song of confident declaration in chapter 3. Also note that God didn't rebuke Habakkuk for questioning him either, but instead showed him heaven's perspective, cluing him in on the bigger picture and showing him God's greater purpose. This is then what evoked Habakkuk's response in the 3 verses I read earlier. Note also how Habakkuk opened his song to the Lord. I have heard about you, Lord. I am filled with awe by your amazing words. In this time of our deep need, help us again as you did in years gone by. And in your anger, remember your mercy. Despite the judgment and destruction that was to come to Judah, Habakkuk didn't question God's goodness or justice, but instead asked for mercy in it all, and then went on to speak about God's glorious splendor. This can be your response as well when faced with despair. When circumstances challenge and overwhelm you, you can take your questions to God humbly and transparently, knowing that He is a just and merciful Father. I guarantee you that if you follow Habakkuk's model for when life gets difficult, you can come away declaring just as he did, that you will rejoice and be confident in the God of your salvation. When things go wrong, when you have no money, when the pressures of life weigh you down, you can rejoice like Habakkuk and say, even though the fig trees have no blossom, and there are no grapes on the vine, even though the olive crop fails and the fields lie barren, even though the flocks die and the fields and the barns are empty, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will joy in the God of my salvation. And note Habakkuk's confidence at the end of his song. God will cause him to walk on the high places because he will make his feet like that of the deer. The imagery here is that he will not be overcome by life circumstances, no matter how bad they come, but rather he will be able to leap from one obstacle to the next, sure-footed and confident, because he had come to find strength in the one who was in total control of everything. Therefore, rejoice even though nothing seems to be happening for you. These may be hard economic times, and there may be even failures in what you had hoped would produce a harvest for you. However, God remains the one who can do exceedingly abundantly above all you can ask or think. And he is forever the God who is faithful to fulfill the same word to you that he gave Habakkuk. I am doing something in your own day, something you wouldn't believe even if someone told you about it. God is going to do something new for you. So be joyful in the Lord today. Rejoice. There is a hope for you still. You are not cut off. No. God's arrival in your situation will be as brilliant as the sunrise. He will save you and he will provide for you. So don't despair, and please don't lose hope. Go to the Lord with your questions and have faith in him to come through for you, and then wait expectantly for his response, for he will surely come. Amen. This has been Monday Morning Motivation. Join me again next Monday at 6 o'clock in the morning for another devotional. Have a wonderful week.